Welcome to the Home Building Hub, your essential podcast guide to building your new home. Hosted by industry experts Colin Bischoff and Darren Brennan, this conversational podcast will help better educate you about all things new home building so you can avoid costly mistakes and enjoy your building experience to the fullest, no matter which home builder you choose.
Hey guys, before we kick off on the episode, I want to introduce you to a new phase of the Home Building Hub. We have decided to go back to school, that is SKOOL. We've created a community based on the back of a podcast we've been running for so long now. We've created a community for you, for all home buyers to jump in and get access to a whole range of tools, checklists, information, and most importantly, find other home buyers in there so you can follow people's journeys, you can share your own journey, and we're excited to build the most trusted community that is independent and objective in the whole country. So get in there, it's SKOOLschool.com. Look up Home Building Hub, download the app, come and say hi, and we will see you in there. Hey there, folks. Welcome to the Home Building Hub. You're with Colin and co-host Darren Brennan, as always. Dazza, today we're going to talk about 3 opportunities right now despite the higher interest rates. And just dusting off the cobwebs a little bit, Darren. We haven't done a podcast for about 4 weeks now. I've been crook. We've been flat out busy. So I think I still sound a little bit raspy, don't I? But we're ready to roll now. How you going?
Mate, there's a little bit going on there, but you'll be right. We'll drag you through. I'll pick you up and carry you if I have to, but
That's it.
We'll be right. But no, mate,
No.
It's going well, mate. There's a fair bit going on. Obviously, there's some, as much as there's some negative news, there's quite a bit of positive news too. So it's a good opportunity to talk about some of the things that are happening in the market right now that people should be aware of and can jump on and really leverage off right now. So, great time.
So our goal here is not to sell anything to you. What we're going to do is just make you aware of these 3 opportunities that we feel, for different types of buyers. We've got investors, we've got first home buyers, etc. And it's something that we did this a couple of years ago, Darren. We went through this post-COVID and we explained to everyone, right now's a good time to buy land, go and get it done, blah, blah, blah. And some people may have listened, a lot of people don't. So look, if you're sort of just intrigued, then just listen on and see if any of this lands for you. One of the things we like to sort of quote, Warren Buffett's quote, be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. And it's too true. Like, we see this in our industry quite often. I can understand that there are people who are genuinely in fear of and wouldn't do it, wouldn't proceed. But there are some who are sitting on the fence, and they were sitting on the fence 2 years ago. And if they had have done it, they would have had a house by now, and they would have, saved money on land, etc. So it sort of feels like we're in a time like that again, So for the people, I guess for a lot of people, purchasing a home, is now off the cards. And that's what's happened. Everyone has gone backwards because they're a bit scared of interest rates and all that sort of stuff. And some of those, in fairness, Darren, is genuine because they can't afford it.
Yeah.
Those people we're not talking to. We're talking about, I guess, the other large number of people who are just hesitant, and that what you're going to do and what you're told by, everyone else is that you should hold back until the market recovers and all that sort of stuff. But as I said, we've been through this once before. We've told everyone a couple of times, just we don't get a sale from it. We don't make a dollar. We're just telling you our views and opinions. So take it or leave it. But there's 3 things here that might be worth listening to. So let's crack on with.
You said those that can't afford it. One of them is for exactly those that probably can't afford it. And it's awesome. So we'll touch on that. We've talked about it in a few of the more recent episodes, but we'll touch on that again because we're just seeing some really good traction in that space. And, it's just such a great initiative. And, I'm not always a big advocate for governments and what they do, but this is one of the great initiatives. I reckon it's an absolute ripper. So we'll talk through that one as well. But if you don't think you can afford it, maybe you can.
Maybe you can. So we'll just cover high level on each one. We'll keep it short. And if you got some interest, and you're more than welcome to reach out to us and we can sort of help you accordingly, but it's not really for that intention, just to give you the information. So let's kick off with number 1, Daz.
Yeah, number 1, I guess it's for the investors, and it's on the back of the federal budget. So obviously there was a fair bit of news around negative gearing in the federal budget, the fact that they're wanting negative gearing back on second-hand or established homes. So the discounts that were available there, which is significant. But the joy is they've done the right thing in a lot of ways, which is supporting the new home industry, which actually employs a huge amount. I think about 10% of the total employable population, I think, is somehow related back to building a new home. And so, it means roads are built, it means housing estates are built, it means that homes are built, not just a real estate transaction where a real estate agent, a conveyancer, and a banker are involved. You've got 300-400 people involved in all those steps to get a new home built. So, which is great for the economy, keeps people employed. So, it's certainly appealing. The government is certainly focused um, on new builds, which is great, and we really want to encourage that, and that's going to also help provide more housing into the market for all these people that are moving into the country, and that seems to be likely to continue. Obviously, with that, you're allowed to negative gear after 12 months. You can get the negative gear deduction at 50%. So you only have to pay your taxable rate against 50% of that. And then, that's on the capital gains, which also applies. On the negative gearing side, you're able to actually offset your any loss that you have on that property against your tax return, right? Which is a huge step to making that a really affordable option to be able to buy a home. So if the rent's not quite as high as what your costs are, so your loan, etc., you can offset any loss against your tax return, which is fantastic. Some of the key takeaways from that, I guess, is that, despite the fact that there's been some interest rates increasing again, we've had 3 rates go up, new home construction is still a long-term attractive option through using your taxation to your advantage, right? So, investors who do things correctly in that space are going to be really to a financial advantage, and buying something new is going to give them that opportunity. If you combine that, with, even if you buy a new home, Cole, and then you shift that over to become an investment property, right? That also would apply. So you can move your principal place of residence over, because you've had that as a new property, over, and actually then negative gear that down the track. So there are some really good ways of which you can, use the current changes that the government's made to your advantage. And I think investors, it's a real ripper for you. So, start to move away from looking at established and start looking at new, and then, all the benefits that come with that. So, yeah, great little start. Great little start. And,
I think
for our industry.
Just to add to that, if you are, there's a lot of people out there just going, excuse me, spruiking, negative gearing, you should buy property now, that don't really understand it. So our advice to you is go and speak to your accountant, go and speak to a financial planner, or these people, get proper advice on your situation and what that negative gearing really means, and what capital gains really means, what impact it really has, and get your numbers lined up, and then proceed if it all ticks the boxes that way. That's probably the most important thing for
absolutely.
you. Don't just fall for some sales crap that you're going to see online where they promise, 55% returns and stuff like that. Don't fall for that. Go and get your numbers structured up, follow it through properly. Yeah. One of the things that piggybacks off that is opportunity number 2. This applies to all buyers, is the current land opportunities. So the interest rates have gone up, and we literally had this a couple of years ago. Same thing. Interest rates went up, so buyers retracted. What happened is, I guess in its simplest form, rates increased again, so buyers have decreased again as a result. So not only are there less buyers coming through to purchase land, but those already with land contracts signed in the market, potentially not registered or titled yet, they're handing those contracts back in droves. So now you've got developers who have an excess of land they've got to resell. So that's where you can get some opportunities. I've done that a number of times myself, where you're getting in and getting a nomination lot or something like that for the contract price that was then, not now. And that's where there's opportunities. If you guys are thinking about it, go and talk to someone who knows what they're doing. Build a consultant who understands the game, and they will find you a block that could save you a considerable amount of money. So as I said, we went through it a couple of years ago, told people what they should do, and I guess for those that did that, they might have saved 20K, 30K on land, plus they would have had a house built. They would have been getting equity by now, all those sorts of things. Whereas a lot of people just sat there listening to Uncle Gary, as we say, and they're still sitting there right now today.
Yeah.
And they haven't done anything in those 2 years. So your call. Doesn't matter. We're not trying to sell anything. We're just saying the opportunity is there to get a couple of good land deals, and go to a builder consultant to let them help you, or go direct to the land officers and land agents and then talk to them about it a little bit more. So
It would
I
depend
think,
on what's on their stock list. I've looked over a number of stock lists the last couple of days, and a lot of them, there's no incentives mentioned, but then there's others where they've got 25 grand off the block of land or 40 grand off the block of land in some cases.
yeah,
It's significant. Like, it's a lot of money. It could be 10 or 15% discount effectively off the land price.
yeah.
I was surprised. I wasn't, there's still incentives out there, but when I saw 40 grand, I was like, wow, like, that's a good thing for anyone wanting to buy in that estate. Like, you're doing really well.
Yeah. And that's via rebates and stuff, because the developer
Yeah.
needs to get them off the books. There's also those of us out there who can find blocks that are situated. We had some at 50 and 60 under market because we
Yeah.
know what we're looking for, and the buyer needs to get rid of it and things like that. So, excuse me. So what I'd say is, like, I guess one of the things that people will listen to is the Uncle Gary thing, and we always hear that, and they're waiting for the market to improve. Honestly, Darren, I don't even know what that means. If you say to someone, what does the improved market look like? Most people can't answer that. So I'd say that there are genuine reasons why people can't buy, which we acknowledge. But the rest of you, perhaps, I guess what mindset shift has to happen is you have to stop looking for reasons why not to build, and perhaps start looking for reasons to build. And that's the same in, look for reasons why something's good or why something's bad. It's just a mindset thing. We see it in businesses. We see it in our personal lives, like with health and fitness. Like, there's those who make the excuses and the reasons why they can't, and then those who go and get it done because they can. So this is really no different. But definitely opportunities out there with land. That applies to all buyers. Absolutely. Yeah.
It's good. It's interesting too, because a lot of people go, I'm going to wait till the price comes down. But usually when the price comes down or these rebates start to happen, interest rates go up. So the cost to borrow goes up. It's just a trading of it's either costing you more in one hand or costing you more in the other. Like, it's not
Yeah.
really going down. It's just
And
a
it's
matter
pretty
of
simple, right? When things are better again, foot traffic comes back through the door, there's more inquiries, so the land people are going to put their prices back up.
Right.
You'll be back in the same thing that we were not long ago.
or
Right
inflation
now,
comes under control, interest rates go
correct.
down, prices go up. Like, it's just the way the market works.
So waiting for the market to return means you're just waiting to pay full price again.
Correct.
Pretty simple. Yeah.
Our third one, Cole's a ripper, mate. And I'm a massive advocate for this one.
Yes, you are.
Which is the government's Help to Buy scheme. And again, for some reason, not many people know about it. Like, walk through display land and you're going to find lots of people knowing nothing about it. They're going to be confused. They're going to think it's a different scheme. They just have zero idea about it. And so what I'm going to tell you is, do your homework, go and find out about it, because it's one of the great schemes that the government's released. And I don't often say that about governments, but it really is. It's an absolute beauty. So what it does, it's there to help first home buyers or those people that haven't owned a home in the last 10 years to really get a major leg up, right? And what that major leg up is, the government will take out a share in the home with you, right? And they'll take out up to 40%. So as an example, if you were to buy a house and land package worth $750,000, that your part of that would be 450,000. The government would be holding 300,000. On that, your repayments are only on the 450. So you're living in a house that's worth 750 but making repayments at 450, right? When you go to sell the home later, it's called shared equity for a reason. What happens with that is they share in any profits or losses. So if the house goes up by 100,000, you've got a 60% share, you get 60 grand. The government has a 40% share, they get 40 grand. Then we get a lot of people saying to us, oh, but hold on, I don't want the government owning a portion of my home.
Mhm.
Well, go and take a loan out at 95% and the bank owns 95% of your home. So how's that any different? And what I can tell you is the bank's going to charge you interest on every cent that they lend you. In this case, there's no interest being paid on the proportion that the government's lending you, right? Their share. No interest at all. So in the long term, it's a significant saving. Plus, you can get in the market. I think we looked at a Cole And if you looked at it over 5 years, what you would pay in what you'd pay in rent and where property prices would likely shift to over a 5-year period, right? If you're looking to try and save money and then get into the market and say, well, I don't want to do it with the government, you're going to be about 200 grand worse off, right? So it's a massive opportunity to have your own home, live in your own home, get ahead of the game. The 40% share only applies to new homes. So if you are looking at a second-hand or established home, then you're looking at only a 30% share. So you don't have that same capacity to be able to borrow. The other great thing about it is you only need a 2% deposit. So you need a much lower deposit. The other things that also are great about the scheme is, as a first home buyer, you're eligible for the stamp duty savings. You're also eligible for the $10,000 first home buyers grant. So it's like the gift that keeps on giving, that can really help you get into a new home. There's certain criteria you need to apply by. So some of those things are, you must be an Australian citizen. There are income caps up to $100,000 for a single, up to $160,000 for a couple or a single parent. There are property caps. So in Victoria, it's 950,000 in Melbourne and Geelong. It's 650,000 in all other regional areas. Some of those caps interstate are much higher. I think in Sydney it's 1.5 mil. So it's, relative to the market that you're in. Again, at 1.5, you're going to have a much higher income to support that, or a bigger deposit, right? So, but talk to your consultant. If you're not sure who to talk to, reach out to us. We can certainly point you in the right direction. It's limited to what banks can do it. There's only 2 banks. It's CBA or Bank of Australia, right? So you can't go to you can go to a broker with Bank of Australia, but you can't go to a broker with CBA. You have to go direct to the bank. We've got some really good connections at the bank as well that we can point you to that can help you get set up for the scheme. So, just shoot us an email or something and we can really jump in and help you out on that. But it's one of the great schemes. I look at it, I've got a couple of daughters who are sort of moving towards that stage in their life where they might look to buy property over the next couple of years. I'd love to get them into this scheme. I think it's a great way to really get them on the property, ladder much earlier. So it's just such a great idea. It's a little bit taking the pressure off the bank of mum and dad to have to chip in and help out and get the kids into the market. The government's here doing a lot of the heavy lifting for you. So, yeah, it's an absolute ripper, Cole. I don't know if you want to throw anything else in on it, but I
No, I
reckon
think it's great.
the government can thank me for doing a good pitch for them on this one.
They should. Yep. Send the check
Big
to Home
advocate,
Building
mate.
Hub.
Big advocate.
Yep. So it is good, and we've got customers ourselves, like in the businesses sort of that we work for and with. We are having people go through this scheme, this process, and it's working. And these are people who couldn't afford or could get a house otherwise. So if you've got, again, we refer to the Uncle Gary in your family or your friendship group telling you, oh, the government owns 40%, right, all that sort of stuff. That's cool. Just keep renting. Like, no worries. And in 5 years and 10 years, you'll still be renting. If you've got an opportunity to own, 60% of a house and it's your house that then gets equity and builds equity, and then you can actually get 100% of the next house, it's completely illogical to me as to why you would not do that.
Yeah.
So, again, it's the same point, Darren. Look for the reasons to do something rather than keep finding reasons why not to. And it's just how you're wired and those around you are convincing you, things like that. So your call, but we're seeing it work quite well. It's a good scheme. Encourage those who it's piqued some interest with to reach out if you need to. Look it up. It's all everywhere. You just Google it and you'll find it. So, yeah.
I think the other bit is, Cole, if you do walk into a display centre and you ask people about it and they don't know, don't think it doesn't exist, right? Because you're going to get, like, I don't know why, but I went to realestate.com function this week. They didn't mention it. They spoke about the government's 5% deposit scheme, which is another great scheme, but this is so much better than that. So much better than that. Wasn't even spoken about. Like, that's the biggest marketplace there is. Didn't even speak about it. I sat there shaking my head thinking, how can these people not be raising this as one of the great schemes, right? And it's like it's almost forgotten. There is a limit of 10,000 places Australia-wide for the year as well. I don't know how many they're sold out. When we did check back in February, they're about a quarter of the way through. So, at some stage in the second half of this year, those spots will be all exhausted, and we'll have to be looking at next year at that point. So I'd say on a calendar year. But it is going really well. Talking to our friend at the CBA, Peter, he's been awesome to deal with. He was saying that the numbers are really pumping through, like they're seeing big numbers coming through generally on the scheme. So yeah, it's a federal government scheme, not a state government scheme. And it's a really, really good option for people out there.
Yep, excellent. Well said. So there you go, guys and girls. The reality is we've got 3, opportunities there for you. Take it or leave it, I guess. We hope it helps. That's what we're here for, and trying to give you some insight that can lead you one way or not. So it's your call. But thanks, Darren. Appreciate the detail and the Help to Buy. That's really, really helpful. And we're seeing, I guess, the beauty is that we're actually seeing some people who we can get a house for that could not have gotten a house without that scheme. And that's pretty cool to have a first home buyer with a smile on the dial, as a result of that, Darren. So
we've had a couple of those people also that are, haven't owned a property in 10 years. Like they've gone through a marriage breakup, they've been renting for many, many years. And now all of a sudden they didn't realize that this existed. They've been able to see a little bit of advertising we've been doing on it and been able to actually jump on that. And they're like, hold on, so I can actually own a house. Like this is, look, it's almost like the dream that they never thought would come true for them.
That's
it's really,
it. That's
really
it.
positive,
That's
so
very cool. There you go.
Very, very cool.
Well, thanks for listening. Thanks for those watching. We appreciate you taking the time, and we hope it's been helpful. And if you've got any, any feedback for us, please shoot through some emails. There's a website, homebuildinghub.com.au, contact details there. And if you like what you listen to, just please hit the 5-star option on the platform you're on. That would be great. And other than that, we look forward to seeing you guys on the next one.
Catch you later.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the podcast, guys. And just our disclaimer, whilst we're all about providing value to you, this podcast should not be considered as legal or financial advice. It contains general information only, and you should seek out independent professional advice on your personal situation before making any legal or financial decisions.
1